1,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Player Display. Frickin' finally, I know. Well, after recent events, I'm happy to say that I've gotten most of my shit sorted. Not all of my shit. There's still some shit flinging around there, but for the most part, I got it down. So here we are again, doing what we usually do. And before I begin this review, I actually want to give you an exciting update. During my brief little few-week hiatus, something like that, I actually got a new phone. So the last phone that I was operating with was a Pixel 6a. I've been using that phone since the very beginning of this channel, so that thing is pretty old. And this that we're rocking with right now is a 9a, so this is going to be a lot better. I don't know what the frame rate's going to be, I don't know if the resolution's going to be better, what the sound quality will be like. This is a pretty exciting advent. And that being said, that's a good segue into another advent here, which is the figure in question, being the Revoltech Jason and the Argonauts Skeleton Warrior. Now, this is, I think, my first figure that I've ever gotten from Revoltech. This is a line that's not for everybody. As far as I know, I don't know a whole ton about them. But they've tapped into Spider-Man, perhaps DC, other IPs like that. And what they're known for is less screen accuracy or comic book accuracy, whatever you like, more articulation. So as a result of that, for a lot of those characters, when you just have them standing idly, a lot of the joints are exposed, things look very exaggerated on the body sculpt. They just look really weird, but that's because they're meant to be in really crazy, dynamic, airborne, web-slinging poses. So they're an interesting brand, and not one I've dipped into, pretty much for that reason, and also the price point. However, this one's a little bit of a unique case because it's a character that's meant to be very skinny, being just a straight up skeleton. And that takes us into Jason and the Argonauts. Now, this is a movie that I've mentioned many times on this channel before because we reviewed several other skeletons. And every time I've been playing with them, I was always like, oh, it would be so great if they made a Jason and the Argonauts figure. We've been on that rant before. But here we have one, an officially licensed Harryhausen figure from the film, which is really exciting. One thing I should mention is this is actually a retrospective because I believe this is an early 2010s figure, so it'll be interesting to see what this is like. Oh, well, there's 2013 right there, so that's good confirmation there. So it'll be cool to see what Revoltech was like back then, and I don't know, just to see what it's like against, I got 3 skeletons here, but what the quality is like against those. I mean, they're all definitely lower end than this guy over here, so we'll see what this is like. Anyways, I'll shut up. Let's get into the packaging. In a word, this box is very unreadable. It's mostly in Japanese, which is fine, but you have just enough to know what's going on here. I actually didn't notice a sticker until I took the box out from the packaging, but it says version 2, so there might be, I'm not sure if there's like an upgrade over the predecessor, or maybe this is a deluxe variant. I couldn't speak to that. I honestly don't know a whole ton about this figure, aside from the very few old reviews I saw on it. Over here, we have a few legibles here in English. We have Sci-Fi Revoltech, Columbia Pictures film, Jason and the Argonauts effects, created by Ray Harryhausen, the King, the Master, for a Charles Schneer production. So, a really fun film. Rewatched it recently, and this skeleton scene was one of the most formative scenes in cinema that I've ever watched. Ever since then, the bar was set quite high. Got the sculptor down there, and the producer, so that's pretty cool. Series number 20 it looks to be. Here we have another portrait of the figure on the side, and look at that. It looks exactly like it did in the film. Not just like a standard, just ye old skull. It had a very distinct style to it, so I think that's really great. You got some more of the same text off to the side. Sorry, we're not working with a whole lot of room. Let me pull out here. And then a whole lot of jibber-jabber over here. And it looks like we got some readables here on if joint comes apart, then that's how you pop back together. But it's pretty self-explanatory stuff. So if you're a novice, that'll help you to get on board. And off to the back, we have a few other posing options for this figure with more text that I cannot read, but along with a whole lot of other images of the different accessories that you have to go with this figure. Really, really exciting. If only they were cheaper, I'd go ahead and army build them. But all that being said, let's go and open this box. From my understanding, it is loose, so we will not need our tools of the trade today. Oh, wait a minute. Is this like NECA? Oh, I didn't even know you could do this. We could flip open the front window, and then look at that. You get the figure displayed inside, and it looks pretty damn great. This might actually be mint. I don't think this is secondhand, so it looks really awesome. On the side, a whole lot of stuff. Once again, I can't help you out there, but you also have some more iconic shots from the movie. You have the party of skeletons down there, which is great. Got the boat You got the statue of Talos, which is awesome. One of the scariest monsters, if you can call it a monster in film, that I've ever seen. Got the golden fleece, just all the iconography from the film, and also bursting up from the ground as the skeletons do. So cool. Anything Harryhausen's really hard to find, so this is an absolute pleasure to have. Got some more graphics and text over here, and then the main figure with all of his accessories, and some kind of logo down here of Sci-Fi Revoltech. I guess this is science fiction, kind of. Alright, first impressions of this dude, he is small. He is baby, like really, really small. Like I knew he was gonna be like, oh, 6-inch scale, something like that. But one thing I totally forgot to account for is the fact that this is an import figure. You know, Mayfix, SH Figuarts, all of that. So inherently he is going to be a little smaller. I didn't think about that. But even with that in mind, he's really small, really, really tiny. Not even 6-inch scale. He's that short. Like, he could be comparable to the 3.75-inch figure. But that being said, as a standalone piece, I don't mind that. If you don't nail the head sculpt just right, I mean, this is what tells me that all the other skeletons that I have, they're not stand-ins for Harryhausen skeletons. It's such a distinct look with the deep sunken sockets with the black in there, the nose as well. The jagged teeth that kind of pop out a little bit, you know, they kind of like tilt out at a slight angle. It's hard to describe. And even when you look really closely on the side of the skull, they really put in attention to the shading and the cracks. They could have just molded the shape and called it a day, like just have it done in a beige or something, and even I'd be like, all right, that's fine, I get it. But here they like give it all the spotting, like some smudges and stuff here. It looks dirty, it looks old, looks like he's been buried in the ground for a long time until he needed to be summoned again to fight off Jason and all his buddies. So yeah, it really is fantastic. I could even afford to push it even closer because it's so small, jeez. But yeah, there's like several different colors going on here. You notice clear bleach white on the teeth, some airbrushing here that's very clear around the cheeks, and then the brow. It's really, really distinct. Very great. Now here's kind of what I was talking about when we were discussing the nature of Revoltech figures. One of the downsides, well, not really a downside, it's either you love it or you hate it sort of thing. For me, I just don't mind. The joints are very visible wherever there is a joint, especially here on the neck. You'll see that there is a giant neck piece right here, but you also notice the big old ball joint at the top and at the bottom, so something to keep in mind. Another thing I did want to mention, another thing that's a little tedious about this figure, but once you recognize it and then you take your time with it, then that will not only get it into good poses, but also prevent you from breaking it. But the joints are small, so as a result of that, they are kind of tricky to move around. So you do want to be mindful of that. Like, for example, that top joint there, it was actually flipped 90 degrees. So as a result of that, the head wanted to tilt this way, that way. But I wanted the head to go more down and up. So I actually had to take a few seconds to very tediously, like, grip the neck and the skull and slowly rotate that joint a little bit. So now both of them are facing this way, so now he's got this up and down, which I prefer more for my particular skeleton. But if I wanted him to do more of a head tilt, you could do it, but it would just be quite a labor to get the joint back in the position that you need it to be in order for him to do that, so do keep that in mind. That being said, because he has so many joints, he has a lot of mobility, which we will talk about later in articulation. As for the rest of this, it's a skeleton that you expect, but again, still with that Harryhausen charm, not too overly stylized, with that really cool beige, dirty color, whatever you want to call it, a little bit of a tan in there. But even then, it's not like just a solid color. Everything's got some airbrushing, like even here on this bicep, I guess. I don't know all my bones, but at the top and the bottom of it, there's a little distinct darkness there that indicates it's about to attach to another part of the body. There's like dried like ligaments over there that kind of decayed over time. So yeah, it feels like not just a skeleton, but it's a skeleton with history. The same can't really be said about the hands. They're a little bit basic, but that's fine. They're kind of just standard, just done in that color. But even then, it's not just a flat base color. There's some paint wash to it, just not as poetically done as you see on the rest of the bigger bones over here. But on the hands, they still look good. And also he's going to be holding weapons, odds are, right? So you're not going to notice that as much. You can flip him around to the back. Whoa. Again, a very exposed joint down here at the top of the pelvis. Very loose, so be mindful of that as well. But everything here looks really great. You got the shoulder blades over here, more of the vertebrae on the spine, and also the rib cage off to the sides, and it looks really great. If they wanted to test is if this would be like a rubbery soft plastic or anything. No, this is a good solid piece, so it's not gonna warp on you or anything. Down to the legs, I haven't tried posing them up yet, but the pelvis looks really good. Again, continuing with the shading and everything, it looks really nice. Helps all those little grooves and textures to pop out more. But then when you get to the legs over here, oh, you can kind of see what the instructions were referring to on the box, that the joints can kind of come undone. Something you do want to be careful with. You don't want to I mean, it wouldn't be the biggest deal, like, if something came slotted out from a peg, but you also don't want the hinges to detach from each other, so do keep that in mind. So you can kick out to the side a little bit, but if I want them kicking straight forward, then I am going to have to put in some effort to shift the joint, and then I'll kick forward, get that sweet spot there. Yeah, and otherwise, if you try bending it in a way that he's not prepared for, then it'll just break straight away. So do take care if you're going after any of these figures, especially if you're going after a number of them. Down here, looks like the knee joints are already oriented to where you want them to go. Again, just a straight 90 is fine. But again, if you want them doing really crazy skeleton stuff, then you can rotate that joint and do pretty much whatever you want. And then the ankles and the feet also look really good, keeping in tandem with the hands, same paint job, kind of more just a dry brush. Now let's move on to accessories, and he comes with a really good slathering of them. So first let's talk about hands. I forgot to mention that by default, they're kind of just idle at his sides, idle skeleton hands, if you will. And as for his alternates, we have three. Oh God, where's my brain? It's been a long day. He's got 2 open hands, which could even be clawing. I really like those. Those are very good. And these hands are all a rare instance of hinges being on this figure. They're not ball joints. That's pretty interesting. You also have 2 grips for his left and right, which could also equate to fists if you wanted as well. They look very good. Again, keeping with that same paint job. And then as for one other accessory here, it's kind of miscellaneous. It's a hand, but also a weapon, and also an arm. It's kind of a lot of things here, but this is actually pretty ingenious. This is a whole replaceable forearm, and as you can see here, it's got a fist built in here with this big old peg hole and these 2 pins. And the reason for that, and there's no articulation in here, by the way, the reason for this is to make it easier when you want to get a shield in there. I have noticed with other figures in the past, specifically with the skeletons that I have from other lines, is that when it comes to shields, it can get a little bit dicey. You gotta snake the arm through, get it through the loop, then get the hand to grip onto on the hilt, and that's a whole ordeal. But this makes things a lot easier. It's just a nice shortcut to pop out an arm, pop another one on, and choose a shield. Why do I say that? It's because he has 2. There are a whole bunch of shields in the movie, but we at least have 2 versions of them over here. Both very exquisitely painted or printed, I'm not sure, but they look really great. Over here, it's almost like a lion or dragon head. I'm not really sure. And then over here, we got a skull of what I can only assume is Medusa. That's got to be a Medusa head, right? I really love that. Flipping them around, actually one thing I was curious about is like, oh, would one be for lefty or one be for righty? No, both of them are meant for his left hand, or left arm rather. So you see the grip, and you got a pin. This is what I was talking about before. He comes with a little crate of sorts to hold those accessories, which I really appreciate, but at the same time, I don't understand this color at all. I don't think it's an age thing, because when this figure first released back in the day, this was the color that it was by default. But yeah, the color they went with, it kind of just makes it look old and warped. It reminds me of like ashtrays or something. It looks gross and distasteful, but anyways, you can open it up. It's got an interesting looking logo down there. It's probably like a generic case that could just go with any Revoltech figure. As for weapons, aside from the shields, you do have a good old sword right over here. Again, it could have just been molded in a standard color, but even this has got a nice gunmetal to it and some darker shading towards the grip, and it looks really great. I love the 2 prongs that come off from the bottom. It's a gorgeous little piece. I like it a lot. Not die cast, although it looks like it could be, so testament to its paint quality. I also got a spear over here. Obviously, if you're going to army build, then you can give them different weapon options. It's a little sharp to the touch, so do be careful. And also, it's very thin and very light, so you don't want to snap it either, but all that being said, it's a really great piece. For me, I'm a sword and shield kind of guy, so I probably will not have him with the spear, but still a great option and very accurate to the film. I do like that quite a bit. No wood grain or anything on the main spear, but that's all right. It'll do the job. And now they go a little above and beyond with this guy, as they should, because he is very small, and these skeletons can only come with so much based on the movie. But he does come with a whole display array over here. So firstly, he has this little plaque, which says Skeleton Army adjacent in the Argonauts 1963. Very cool. On the back, it's totally hollow. On the bottom, you got a little pinhole there, although I'm not sure, based on what we're seeing now, where I'd put this. Maybe if you had like an accessory set, then this would indeed link up to somewhere. But as for what we have right here, it doesn't seem like there's a distinct spot for it, but that's okay. After you build everything and put the skeleton on there, just place this right in front, and you'll know exactly what it is. By the way, this whole thing screams to me alcove of the office space, which is not a bad thing. It just seems like a really nice, tight set of stuff that just have beside your computer or something like that. It's got that vibe, and it's not a bad vibe. I like that a lot. Now, let's start with the display base, which I have not built yet. Firstly, we have this display base here with some really nice weathered stones over here with a dry brush, looking really great, and also got some dirt and sand. And then you have one of his little buddies kind of poking out from the ground, which I really do like. And that brings us to the second part of this base here. You have less than a half of a skeleton over here as well, popping out of the ground with a sword defaulted into his hand. I noticed that the thumb is connected to the thigh bone, to the fingers over here. So I'm like, oh, so you can't remove it, but it's loose. How to get in there? But I just noticed there's a seam between the main grip and then the handguard up there. So I think, yeah, you can actually detach these and remove it and then put it back together in the main skeleton's hand so you could dual wield swords if you wanted to. So that's pretty interesting. He's got nothing going on down here. Oh, just a sculpted arm on the left. But on the right, you do have a pre-posed arm at a 90-degree angle, but does have a joint in there. So not only can you articulate the arm, but you can also give him a different weapon if you wanted to, omit this sword completely. As for the hand, though, I think the hand would also be swappable, so you could have him even clawing his way out with one of the alternate hands. So you got some choices here. But one of the reasons why I really love these two alternate skeleton friends over here is we have the 3 stages of a skeleton coming out of the ground. This one's on his way, this one's a little bit further along, and then you get the big boy over here, or little boy, you know, compared to all your other figures, but he's going to be all the way out of the ground, so that's really great. And the last part of this whole display option here is this broken pillar, which looks really great. Loving the weathering, loving the sculpting, little accented details punctured into the column here, and a busted off portion on the top. So all that being said, let's see what it's like to get everything together. I'm not totally sure how it's done, but actually, if we turn this around to the bottom of the base, we have a few hints. So we have a little square here. You can also refer to the box, and it would help you out, of course. It seems like this would port into here, but I feel like that would make everything backwards. I don't know. You might have several options. See, then that one's facing that way. That one's facing that way. That'd actually be kind of good for turntable options, though. But then again, you also have this indent over here, so would that be interchangeable? It's different shapes. I don't know for sure. So you can have a choice as to whether you'd want this guy, well, all 3 of them really facing forward towards you, or if you want it to be on a turntable and have a sort of 360 vibe, you can alternatively plug it over here. That's really cool. I dig that a lot. As for these this pillar over here, there's 2 pins coming out. It should be as simple as put them right into those holes there. We'll be a little careful. I want to break those pins. That would suck. They're not going all the way in for me. And maybe with some warmth, it would help. That's as far as I'll go for now. But as you can see, there's still a little bit of a gap there. So maybe you can go a tad further. I think it's meant to be that slanted, but that looks fine. And when you look right down here, you probably noticed this already. There's a very small, shallow pin here for the main skeleton's foot. So let's see what that's like. The hole is kind of midway up, down the foot, which makes sense. If it's all the way back at the heel, there's not a whole lot of space there to put a hole in, but let's see what it's like to peg them in. Yeah, it's not really going in for me. I think it's because maybe there's some paint around the peg or something like that. I mean, I'm sure there's a way, but I'm having issues getting them on there. But I guess if you wanted to, you can kind of just stand them upright, have them kind of lean, force perspective. Yeah, you can have him just chilling on the pillar. You can have him cross his arms. That'd be kind of fun. Worth noting that when you look at the pins on the hands, there's no like extra mushroom peg. There's no like additional ring in there, they're meant to just slide right out and stay with friction alone. So there's not going to be a pop, which is good. So they paid attention when making this figure, so nothing's going to break on accident. So that is nice. Popping on for the movement of this guy. First, let's start off at the head sculpt. You've already seen this, but he does have a hinge in the jaw, as every skeleton figure should, but he goes way down, which is really great. He could be totally barking, or screaming rather, or howling, whatever, as he did in the movie. So that's really great. Again, I'm not going to move every single joint here. Just take my word on it that they're there. You just got to be a little slow about it, but got a big old ball joint at the top and bottom of the neck. Very good. So you can swivel, hinge any way you want, and same can be said about any other instance of a ball joint here. So you got it in the shoulders as well, so you can get like you're up, and right there at least it goes to 90. We're going to skip this arm and just hop over to this one, but the joints would be the same. Ball joint in the elbow. If they hinge up, they go a little past 90, which is good. And there's also your swivels in there. You get the picture. You can even have it hinging side to side if you wanted to. As for the hands, they swivel, contrarily to all the ball jointed parts. But the hands do hinge in and out differently. Again, I think only the grips do it up and down. The other two pairs are the other way. So yeah, anyways, moving on. As for the torso and hip area, we have bigger ball joints at the top and bottom of the spine that is in between the rib cage and the pelvis. As for the rib cage itself, there's nothing going on, which is totally fine. As for the hips, those are my biggest concern. I think those are the most tedious joints here, just because of the way that everything's sculpted. Not Revoltech's fault, not Harryhausen's fault, obviously. It's just, that's the way that skeletons are built. So they're accurate, it's just they're a little weird to move around and shift the joints so that you can get the movement that you want. But at least by default, they kind of want to go do a little bit of a splits and come back in. So I'm going to have to take my time to move them differently so they're in the position I prefer. The knees are already kind of geared to go back, and they go well past 90, which is really nice. In fact, maybe even more than they need. As for the feet, they go, at least in this configuration, really good about back, pretty good about forward as well. And then there's also some rocker. Although I would recommend doing a little bit of heat, because it just feels a touch stiff. But I suspect if they're anything like the wrist, it's just going to be a cylinder. It's not going to be a peg or a ring to worry about, right? And now it's time for a skeleton jamboree. And as I said, this guy's really freaking small. We have figures here that range from 6-inch to 7-inch, and he is smaller than all of them. But again, I don't mind that, because the way I think about it is like, you know, if you go to hell or you're playing a video game or something, there's like skeletons of different heights, shapes, sizes. So in terms of just my vaster skeleton collection, I don't mind that he's so dinky. That's okay for me. But again, if you just want him as a standalone, he serves his role just fine. So who do we have over here? From left to right, I guess is the best way to do it. Over here we have a Storm Collectibles skeleton. This is specifically the version from the Motaro, and I have two of these skeletons I sourced loose, so they're pretty fun. And these guys are definitely more akin to 7-inch, or more like McFarlane, NECA. They're pretty damn tall. Next to him, we have the Epic Hacks Gladiator skeleton. I'm really liking Epic Hacks. They've been releasing some new things lately, but I haven't picked up anything beyond this guy. But we've reviewed actually every figure in this frame before, if you ever want to check him out. But he's roughly more in the 6-inch scale, perhaps a hair taller. And then over here, we have another 6-inch scale figure. This is Mythic Legions. I don't have a stock skeleton from that line, but I do have my custom over here, who is Wildcard. Jester skeleton with a whole bunch of arms, kind of my thing, and I did all the paint there. So he's also definitely bigger than the Argonaut skeleton that we got over there. So again, he's not for everybody, but I really love him. He's really cool. And to wrap up, he kind of just happened to be here. So here's Guy Gardner Green Lantern from McFarlane, who is again in the 7-inch scale, so better with the Storm Collectibles figure perhaps. But if you want to compare this guy to the baseline 6-inch figures, I'd say Star Wars Black Series, Marvel Legends, anything Hasbro really. Then here we have Quash and Mechamuck.
Hey, Quash, check out this baby skeleton. He's almost as short as me.
Wait till my father hears about this.
Your father? Dead people don't have fathers.
I heard someone over here hazing my boy.
What? He started. He shot out of the ground and started screaming at me.
Wait till my brother hears about this.
Really? How many family members are you going to bring back from the dead just to prove a point? Oh, great. One big, stupid, dead family. What else you got?
Mechamuck, we're slowly becoming outnumbered. I think you're overplaying your hand. Did somebody say hands? That's my uncle. Alright, I'm not actually sure what we're doing anymore.
Did this not all start out with a Harry Potter reference?
You know what? It's official. Pod Guy has officially absolutely lost the fucking plot.
And here's a very quick, 1 minute, finagled example of what you could do with this figure. Here we've got the skeleton kind of just leaning against the base. Again, I couldn't really peg him into the base itself. But he's in a pretty decent pose. He's got his two brothers at his feet, and they're also on a turntable with a little name tag in front. And it's really nice. Again, this thing just screams office centerpiece, right? I wouldn't call this a plaything. It's very, very fragile for sure. Whereas I think more modern, wider framed Revoltech figures you could more throw around, put him in crazy poses like a Spider-Man or a Batman. For this guy, you want to be very careful with him. He's very fragile. You want to treat him like we reviewed two figures from Cool Model Toys who I really like into this quality wise. They feel very similar. They're brittle, but once you understand the nature of them, you can have a lot of fun with them. So you do need to be careful. I know I keep harping on the fact that you need to be handle this thing very gingerly, but seriously, you need to, because the joints can, they can have their stiff little nooks and crannies. They can suddenly feel very loose. You gotta work your way around it. Just feel it out. Know what you're working with. After that, though, once you move the joints in the right place, you get them kind of tweaked to your preferences, you kind of tune them out, I guess is the best way you could say it, to your liking, then you can be a lot of fun, and you can just kind of set them and forget them. I definitely put them in that category of a figure where it's less to play with, it's more just to throw him up in a good pose, kind of like a Hot Toys or something like that, set him on a shelf, and he's good to go, and he looks awesome. Change him up every 6 months or so. Really good figure. Now, in terms of the acquirability of this guy, obviously he's no longer being sold. The last time he was released, it was in 2013, as far as I know. As a result of that, and on top of the fact that he's from Revoltech, he's from overseas, he's pretty hard to find. I did not find a lot of US sellers that had him on hand. I only found one, really, and they had multiple in stock. But aside from that one seller, he's pretty hard to find in the States. And that being said, he is very pricey as a result. So would I go out of my way to army build him? I don't think that's necessary for my wallet anyways. I mean, this whole thing pretty much does the job. The fact that he's got two buddies coming out of the ground, you kind of don't really need to get another one, right? And also you just have more of the exact same identical stand. So this is kind of just one size fits all, does the thing that it needs to do, and he looks pretty damn good once you get him posed up the way you want. And again, you can kind of use that column there to give him some support, so you don't really need to go out of your way to get a crab claw, I guess. You could find a way if you're creative at all, so really, really neat. I love this figure a lot. Finally, I have an Argonauts skeleton, and not just some shoe-in to kind of shadow as that character on my shelf, so really happy with him. Not totally sure what I do with him. I mean, I'm going to be unemployed in a month. That's a story we've covered before, but sure, he landed in another nice office, and you can bet your bottom dollar that he's going to be there. So yeah, I really love him. I recommend him. Just be aware of the minor little eccentricities of this figure. He's by no means bad. You just got to know what you're getting into, judge whether or not the figure's for you. And once you pose him up, get all the joints lined up, lie him down on the pillar, he's going to be pretty damn awesome. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little retrospective review and my triumphant return. If you enjoyed them, please, as per usual, be sure to
Like!
Comment!
Ring the bell to be notified of our latest arrivals.
And subscribe!
And also just a quick little humble reminder that you can become a member of this channel, and there's also a Patreon down in the description below if you'd like to play around with those a bit if you like. So all that being said, that is all I got. Thank you guys once again very much. Rock on, and I'll see you all later.
Hey, you! Yeah, you! Check out this other video you might like in our sister gaming channel. It would be real sweet if you did. Still waiting!